Math 98. I'm just going to do a quick video telling you what we went over today during the Zoom session for both classes. So what we did is I just spent the beginning of the class just reviewing what was in each of the sections of the module so you can kind of remember what will be included on the test. Then I'll give you some of the details on the test. I'll be sending that out in writing as well. I didn't know all the details when we had our class today, but I'll also be sending that out in an email. And then the rest of the class period was just left open in case people had questions. So it'll be kind of a short video here. The review sheet is up on Blackboard for Module 2, and the review answer sheet is also there. They're in the folder called Chapter 2 Review Materials. Okay, so you can feel free to email me if you have any questions. Also, I'm doing office hours from 11 to 12 tomorrow and 10 to 11 on Friday. I'll be on Zoom. I will be sending out an email later tonight with the link for that. It'll be a separate link from your classroom link, but that will take you there. Okay, so you can pop in if you have a question or just email me. So for the test the test is going to be Friday. Again, I'll talk about those logistics in a few minutes. So for Module 2, just a quick reminder of what was in each section. So Section 2.1 was talking about population density. That was the lesson about the people living on the island, and then half the island gets flooded, and so it's the same number of people in half the island, the population density goes up. Remember that population density is always population divided by the area. So, there might be 3,000 people in 53 square miles, right? That would, once we divided that, that would give you a population density people per square mile in that case. Lesson 2.2 was the Shopping Smart lesson. So we talked about unit prices or unit rates. A unit rate has a 1 on the bottom, so it's so many dollars per pound, miles per gallon. We always want to use our units to help us. So if it's dollars per pound, this is the order that we're going to divide in. It would be how many dollars divided by how many pounds, dollars per pound. So always use that unit. In Shopping Smart, we also talked about which is the better buy, right? The smaller amount per ounce. If one bag of chips is going to cost you 17 cents an ounce and the other one is going to cost you 14 cents an ounce, the 14 cents per ounce would be the better buy. Lesson 2.3 talked about absolute change and relative change. The context here was the changing population of different states, and there was also the map that your instructor would have put up showing how the representation in Congress changed based on those population changes. So absolute change is the new value minus the old value. So if it was a certain value, the price of gas or the population or whatever, and it went up, this will give you a positive value. If it went down, you're going to get a negative here. That's okay. The relative change, then, we take the absolute change and we divide by the original value. Okay, so, and then we write our answer generally as a percent. So if I divide that and I get 0.28, I can change it to be 28%. It's saying this change, how did that change relate to what I originally had? What part of my original amount is that change? 2.4 was getting data from graphs. There was a bar graph at the beginning, actually a line graph first, 2 line graphs, and then 2 bar graphs, and then some pie graphs. You may want to look back at that. The one thing to remember is if we have a pie graph, the one in the problem was saying about the Hispanic population and the non-Hispanic population for a certain time period, for 2 certain years. Let's say the Hispanic population is going to be 40%, I don't remember what the numbers are, and the non-Hispanic population is 60%. We don't know actual numbers unless we know the population. So if we know, let's say this is going for a city, and the population is 300,000, we could take 300,000 times 0.40, right? 40% as a decimal. That would give us the amount of people there. Okay, so we have to know the amount of people before we can figure out the number of people in each slice of the pie. Excuse me. 2.5, my class didn't do. The other class, my original class, you're both my class now, but my afternoon class did not do it. The morning class did. It was really more about the absolute and relative change. So my afternoon class, you'll be fine doing the test without that. The morning class, if you remember that, it was about the heart attack drug, and how if it saved 50% of the people who would have had a heart attack without the medicine. But, you know, in some groups that was saving 100 lives, and some groups that was saving 1 life. 2.6 and 2.7 we went over on Monday, and these were mean, median, and mode. We talked in the other video about how to find them, how to find a group of numbers that has a certain mean, has a certain median. In 2.7, it was really just more working with that. Okay, so this is a list of really all the topics we had talked about over the course of this module. Okay, again, what I'm going to put here for the logistics portion is going to be in an email also. Okay, but your test is going to be on Friday. Now, I know my afternoon class normally has class on Thursday, not Friday, but I kind of wanted to make it all the same day, and gives you an extra day to get to it. If Friday is absolutely, because of work schedule or whatever, if it's absolutely an impossible day for you to take it, please let me know as soon as possible. The test is going to be open from, I'm going to say, from 11:59 p.m. Thursday through 11:59 p.m. Friday. Okay, so if you want to say the entire day of Friday, it's going to be open. Okay, what this means is that you can start it during that time. It's available to you during that time. Once you start it, you have 2 hours to take it. You cannot leave the test and come back to it. Okay, so really you need to start it by 10 o'clock on Friday in order to have your full 2 hours. Okay, this is longer than we normally give you in class, obviously. It's not a longer test. It's actually a little bit shorter than the Module 1 test. But for each question, we're going to ask you you want to have paper there, right? You're going to do your work on paper just like you normally would. But then, since you can't turn that paper in each problem there's going to be a box, and it's going to ask you to show your work. So what you'll do is, if you typed in 300,000 times 0.40 on your calculator, that's what the work you would do, put that in the box so we know what you did. Some of them, it may lend itself to a written explanation also of what you did, okay? So just remember to put as much work as you can, as much detail as you can in those boxes. Even if you, just like when we grade things by hand, even if you get the multiple choice portion wrong, if you just get the wrong answer, whichever it's multiple choice or short answer, but your work was partly correct, then you can get partial credit. But we can't do partial credit or even full credit for a right answer without showing work for most of them, okay? You will not be able to go in and out of the test. Excuse me. It will look just like a regular homework assignment. You'll open it up. It'll have all the answer, all the questions right there on one page. Let me think what else I was going to say. You will not get a grade when you are done with it. It won't tell you how you did, okay? Because the computer is going to actually grade some of it, like the multiple choice, but then I have to go back in and see if I want to give you partial credit and all that. So it's not going to show you any kind of a grade. Please make sure that you set aside time so that you have 2 hours when you should be able to be uninterrupted, have a quiet place to work. I know it's a little difficult right now with, people home that aren't usually whatever. That's why I wanted to give you 24 hours of accessibility for it. And then you have a little extra time. If you have accommodations that allow for extended time for tests, then you will get that. It'll be in there. So for your portion, your test will have that extended time built into it automatically. So if you do get extended time, if you could just shoot me an email to remind me of that. If you're from my class, I think there are only 2 people in my class that do, and I have them in mind, but I'll just reach out to them. If you are in my new class, my morning class, and you do get accommodations of extended time, please let me know. Okay, I did reach out to Mary Sheldon to ask her about that, but I haven't heard back from her yet because I didn't get that paperwork. Okay, so I think this is it. Like I said, I will send out an email, excuse me, either later today or tomorrow morning with all the details about the test and where to find it on the homework site and all that. If you have questions, feel free to pop into office hours. I will send an email about that a little bit later tonight also with a link, or you can always just email me. All right. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will talk to you guys soon.